The NBA playoffs are 1 month away, and with tons of potential fun matchups in the opening round, here are 3 teams that I believe nobody wants to face in the 2023 NBA playoffs. Just a disclaimer, this does exclude any obvious teams. So when I say obvious teams, I mean guys like the Bucks, the Celtics, the Suns. We all know no one wants to face them given how stacked and strong they are. Rather, this video is more so focused on kind of your under-the-radar teams, which can give a lot of teams trouble despite not being as competitive in the standings. So if you guys do enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe, as it does help the channel grow and I would really appreciate it. But without any further ado, the first team that I have on this list is the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks are one of those teams who just feel like they're extremely pesky despite not having a true superstar leading them. And it feels like they're always competing hard in close games versus superior competition. They're 2-1 against the Cavs, they're 3-1 against the Celtics, and they're 2-2 against the 76ers. So it shows that they can hold their own against the top dogs in the Eastern Conference, although I should note that they are also 0-3 versus the Bucks. They are 10-3 since acquiring Josh Hart, who has given them so much versatility in their depth and their lineup combinations as well. They are the number 5 overall offense this season, led by Jalen Brunson, and they're actually the number 3 overall offense since the acquisition of Josh Hart at the trade deadline. Touching back on Brunson, he's having easily the best season of his career. Everyone knows that. And I think he's having an MIP-worthy campaign that nobody really talks about. You know, obviously, Lauri Markkanen deservedly should win that award, but I feel like Jalen Brunson is having quietly an amazing campaign in comparison to his previous years, but it's just gone under the radar. He's averaging 7.5 points per game more than last season, also with career highs in assists and 3-point percentage. And he's arguably the best player on the Knicks and definitely the most important. Julius Randle, on the other hand, is also having a career year, averaging career highs in points per game, and proving he has what it takes to carry the Knicks through those tough stretches without Brunson. Now, a lot of people also don't talk about the fact that the Knicks are very well coached with Tim Thibodeau. He's got a lot of playoff experience, and despite not liking to play his bench, the Knicks do have a pretty decent bench on paper. You know, obviously with a fully healthy lineup, they've got Emmanuel Quickley coming off the bench. They've got Isaiah Hartenstein, which I think is one of the best backup centers in the league that nobody talks about. They've obviously got Josh Hart, and then you've got a lot of vets on that team too, which again, Tibbs doesn't play, like guys like Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, and then you've got a few like younger, you know, up and coming guys as well, which have shown some potential, guys like Jericho Sims and even Miles McBride. So with that being said, I do think, you know, the Knicks, you know, in a potential 7-game series in the opening round, currently they're slated as the 6th seed. They'll be first facing off against the 3 seed 76ers, which, you know, this season they are 2-2 against. I think they can give the 76ers a bit of trouble. Mitchell Robinson has defended quite well against Embiid this season. He's a very big body, so he's probably one of the better players you can put on Embiid. And I just think that, you know, given the 76ers' recent playoff, you know, history in terms of bouncing out either in the first or second round, some people may be in for a surprise. I'm not saying that the Knicks will beat the 76ers in a 7-game series. I'm merely just saying that I wouldn't be surprised if we went to 6 or 7 games, or maybe even an upset. Team number 2, your Los Angeles Lakers. All jokes aside, the Lakers are looking very, very good post-trade deadline. And obviously nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to face a healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the playoffs. LeBron is still very much a top 10 player in the league. Anthony Davis, meanwhile, has looked like an MVP level player this season when he's playing healthy, which, to be quite frank, the Lakers haven't really gotten that out of him ever since the bubble when they did win the championship in 2020. Now, D'Angelo Russell is looking like the Nets D'Angelo Russell again. Looks like he's found his groove, found his mojo, found his stride, is back home. You know, he's averaging over 19 points and 6 assists in 6 games as a Laker this season. And those stats are actually dragged down by the Golden State Warriors game when Russell only scored 2 points and was injured 9 minutes in. The Lakers have the number 1 defense since the trade deadline. And, you know, altogether, this team is absolutely stacked. Just look at their lineup. Starting lineup: Russell, Beasley, Bron, Vando, AD. Look at their bench: Schroeder, Reeves, Troy Brown Jr., Hachimura, Bamba. And then you got the bench warmers: Gabriel, Lonnie Walker. Those guys have been exceeding expectations all year long and are very valuable contributors when needed. The roster has plenty of shooting, plenty of scoring, plenty of depth, plenty of size and defense and versatility. You know, if you look at their closing lineups, they can play on offense, hypothetically speaking. They can play Russell, Schroeder, Reeves, Bron, and AD. And on defense, they can go Schroeder, Troy Brown Jr., LeBron, Vanderbilt, and AD as well. So all in all, this is a very, very deep Laker team. LeBron's going to be well rested for the playoffs, obviously coming off that injury. I do think he should try to get in a game or two right before the play-in or playoffs start, so that he can kind of shake off that rust. But, you know, the Lakers are still well within striking distance of not even getting into the play-in. You know, they're currently 9th in the West. They're 2.5 games back from the Clippers for that 6th seed, so they have to almost have a perfect ending to cap off the regular season. But, you know, if they do finish in that 7 or 8 or 9 spot, you know, you're looking at facing either the Nuggets or the Grizzlies. Now, the Grizzlies, I think, would be a first round series everyone should be salivating over, with Dillon Brooks and all that kind of drama. And in a 7-game series, I'd favor the Lakers over the Grizzlies, given the Dillon Brooks drama and Dillon Brooks just talking too much crap. Ja Morant, you know, he's in like rehabilitation or counseling, I should say. He's in counseling now. Adams has missed a ton of time. The Grizzlies have never looked as beatable as they are now. The Nuggets, meanwhile, you know, in a 7-game series against the Lakers, that's a lot tougher because this is a new look Laker team. But, you know, I like the Lakers odds against the Nuggets as well as anyone. So I think, with all that being said, yeah, like, I don't think the Nuggets or the Grizzlies would want to face the Lakers in the first round. I know Dillon Brooks is going to say he wants to face them, but, you know, I don't think he even believes that himself deep down. So, Lakers, very good team. I don't think anyone wants to face them, assuming they're well rested and healthy. That's my second team. Team number 3, the Golden State Warriors. I think a lot of fans seem to have forgotten that the Warriors are actually the defending champs, and a big part of their roster and their big 3 is still intact from last season. They've just lacked a lot of continuity due to a lot of key players missing time this season. You know, at the day of recording this, the Warriors have played 69 games so far this season, and they've missed many of their key players due to a variety of injuries or other reasons. You know, look at JaMychal Green's missed 20 games. Gary Payton II has missed 54 games. Steph Curry has missed 27 games. And Wiggins has nearly missed half the season. He's missed 32 games, and it's reported that it's unsure if he'll even return this season with whatever personal matters he's dealing with outside of basketball. The Warriors are obviously a very good team at home. They are 29-7, which is pretty elite, but they're also elitely horrible on the road, where they're 7-26, and that is very concerning. But, you know, we do know that Steph and Klay can win basketball games by themselves. You know, in the case of Steph, you know, in a 7-game series, he's as good as anyone to win 1 or 2 games pretty much just all by himself. So, you know, on paper, they still have a very, very good team. You just look at their starting lineup: Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond, Looney. You've got Jordan Poole off the bench, DiVincenzo, Gary Payton II, Jonathan Kuminga, JaMychal Green. You know, obviously they've got a championship head coach in Steve Kerr, although this season he's been making a few more questionable decisions. They're still a very, very good team, and when they're healthy, I like their chances in the Western Conference playoffs as good as anyone. You know, I think they beat the Grizzlies in the 7-game series. I'm not too sure if they beat the Nuggets, but, you know, anything can happen when you have the Splash Brothers on your team. But a lot of their playoff success kind of hinges on their health and whether or not a lot of guys are going to be available. And a big part of that is Andrew Wiggins. But, you know, for the purposes of this video, I'm assuming that everyone's healthy, everyone's whole. And if that is the case, I think the Warriors have as good as a shot in the West as anyone. Just to wrap things up, I want to give out some honorable mentions to the Clippers, who I think are absolutely stacked talent-wise, and it's really up to Ty Lue to make everything work with his rotations. I think Russ, despite his tenure with the Lakers, is a great fit for the Clippers, given their lack of depth at the point guard position, and it seems that now Ty Lue has figured out when to play him and when to sit him in fourth quarter situations. And after a slow start to the season, in his last 24 games, Kawhi is actually averaging 28.6 points and shooting over 50% from 3. And he's as good, you know, when you're talking about leading a team in a 7-game series, Kawhi is right up there amongst the LeBrons, the Anthony Davises, the Steph Currys of the world. He's right up there, and let's not forget what he did for the Raptors in 2019. Secondly, I got the Mavericks. Again, based off of talent alone, Kyrie and Doncic are as good enough as anyone to win you know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 games in a 7-game series. I do think they have a lot of issues when it comes to maybe their depth, but especially their coaching, where Jason Kidd has seemingly just cut out Christian Wood, you know, from the rotation by a huge chunk and favoring guys like Kleber and Powell. And, you know, the Mavericks have struggled to score when Luka and Kyrie sit. And Christian Wood is by far the third best offensive player. And the Mavs already ranked number 23 in defense overall. So it's not like playing Wood big minutes will make their defense much worse. And if you look at defensive potential, he offers a lot more, rim protection potential given his length and size than, a Kleber or a Powell. So I think, if a lot of it comes down to the coaching, and I don't think Jason Kidd's a good coach, but I think the Mavericks have the talent to win games. Next up, I've got the Pelicans, who they've dropped from the first seed with Zion healthy earlier on in the season, and they're currently, I think they're the 12th seed without him. The 10th seed, actually. They're the 10th seed without him. So, if Zion is healthy and coming back come playoff time, they're as good as anyone to, bet on for an upset in the first round. Although relying and banking on Zion's health is a pretty big ask. And then finally, I've got the Sacramento Kings, who, I think Mike Brown should easily be the coach of the year, given what is achieved with this Kings roster. The team has been handed has no business sniffing in the playoffs, let alone, be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference and top of their division. You look at their team, all fine players, like, don't get me wrong. But, you don't think this is a top 3 team in the Western Conference on paper. So I think it's done a fabulous job. I think they're very underrated in the playoff picture. But the reason why I'm not including them in a team that nobody wants to face is because a lot of teams are actually targeting to face the Kings, which might bite them in the ass come playoff time. But they do have a lot of question marks around them, mainly around, their inexperience. A lot of their guys don't have much experience in the playoffs and their lack of superstar talent. And so overall, these are pretty much the top 3 teams, as well as some honorable mentions in terms of, teams that no one wants to really play in the playoffs. Want to thank you all for watching the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Obviously, like I mentioned, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and comment, all that good stuff. Even if you don't like the video, just dislike it. I don't really care. It does help my channel grow, and I'll see you guys in the next one.